Hey pipe smokers, I'm back again for another tobacco review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mac Baren Navy Flake. This is an air-cured flake consisting of Virginia, Burley, and Cavendish. Now before I get started on the review, let's go ahead and take a quick look at this flake up close.
So I've got all this in a jar. I'll just pull a flake out and give you a look. And there you go. Mac Baren Navy Flake.
Okay, before I get into the tasting notes, let me speak about the topping briefly. This is a Navy Flake, so you've got your traditional rum topping as well as your more typical Mac Baren honey type topping / casing. Now for the tasting notes. When I first light up a bowl of Navy Flake, the first things that strike me are the Virginia flavor, which is light, bright, and also slightly astringent, as well as that topping flavor. Now, I think the topping flavor in this blend is really wonderful. I'm not afraid to say it's probably my favorite part of this blend. I just think it's really, really well done. It adds sweetness, it adds flavor, it adds a little bit of depth to the flake without overtaking or dominating what are the really fairly subtle tobacco flavors present. The Burley and the Cavendish, I find the early going are kind of in the background a little bit, but after the first quarter of the bowl, I find the Virginia notes sit down a bit, and in their place, the Burley and Cavendish become more prominent. The Burley really provides, I think, most of the body of this blend, as well as a slight chocolatey kind of note that some of you may be familiar with from other Mac Baren Burley blends. The Cavendish, I find that while it lacks the sort of oily and sort of body producing characteristics of other Cavendish applications, it's very spicy. It's spicy in an intriguing sort of almost Perique-like way. Not necessarily flavor-wise, but certainly in the mouthfeel and that kind of slightly peppery spiciness I find is quite apparent in the Cavendish leaf present here. And essentially, I find that this is a fairly straightforward smoke. Around the halfway point, I do find that the detectable topping casing notes tend to settle a little bit. I find that after that first half of the bowl, they're a little harder to detect, although I'm sure they're still there, adding a little bit of extra sweetness to the blend. I find this one does pick up a little bit in the final quarter. It's got, it picks up a little bit of strength. It becomes a little bit bolder. Also, if one isn't smoking it conscientiously, it can become a tiny bit tarry towards the end as well, unfortunately. At points, this blend is it's spicy. At other times, it's sweet. It does certainly have that honey sort of flavor, which is sort of sweet and sort of something else that I find hard to define, but it definitely adds a bit of interest to the blend. Really, this is a very straightforward blend. I appreciate and enjoy straightforward blends, and this is not one that really challenges me in any way. It doesn't really unfold with many different types of flavors, or it's not complicated. It really doesn't build. There's not much complexity. I just find it is a very good, solid, straightforward, in certain ways, easy smoking, approachable type flake. Now, let me talk about the smokability here. I really, really enjoy the flavors of Mac Baren Navy Flake, and I've smoked about 3.5 tins of it thus far. So I really did enjoy it enough to purchase more than once. In fact, I even shelled out some extra money to buy an aged tin, a 4-year-old tin of this. So I do really enjoy the flavor. Now the smokability, that's where this one really runs into some problems for me. Now, I will preface this by saying it seems to me that the longer I smoke a pipe and the more tobaccos that I have sampled, the less tolerant I have become of discomfort, fatigue, and tongue bite when smoking. And that's a big issue with me, not only for Mac Baren Navy Flake, but for the entire Mac Baren sort of regular line. So I'm not talking about the HH stuff, I'm talking about their sort of more well-known, widely available blends. And I find that while Navy Flake, for me, out of all those blends, is the easiest smoking and the least fatiguing out of those blends, that's honestly and unfortunately not saying a whole lot, at least in my opinion, of course. I will peg the smokability here at poor to decent. So for me, the best that I can ever expect from a bowl of Mac Baren Navy Flake is some fairly considerable fatigue, and the worst will be outright tongue bite, unfortunately. So I always get some fatigue with this blend, and more often than not, unfortunately, I do get some true chemical tongue bite, which really holds this one back for me, unfortunately. The strength, I find the strength here is medium. Many other people call it mild to medium. I find that generally across Mac Baren's product line, the nicotine, the strength seems to hit me a little bit harder than others. I find most of their blends to be fairly satisfactory on that front, and this is no different. Now let me get around to the final score. So if the smokability issues with Navy Flake were not present, this would for me be much higher score, and would be one that would be a super no-brainer kind of everyday type smoke, because I really actually do enjoy the flavors very much. But with the smokability in mind, I'm going to go ahead and give Mac Baren Navy Flake 7.0 out of 10. Now, I am hard-pressed to think of a tobacco that gives me this much discomfort that I would give that high of a score to. So I think that says something about the flavor and what I think about it. I wouldn't hesitate to go ahead and recommend this to people who have sort of iron tongues, or people who get along really well with Mac Baren's product line. If you do, then you'll probably have no issues whatsoever with Navy Flake. I think it's one that everybody should try if they get a chance to, because the flavors are very good. But for me, this is a blend that has a lot more potential for a higher score in my books than what I'm giving it, like I said, because of those unfortunate smokability issues. And I think that about wraps everything up for Mac Baren Navy Flake. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Hope you're all doing really, really well out there. I'm about to start a new sort of series that's going to be a little more casual, and I'm just going to sort of talk about topics, a lot of them just like off the cuff, real casual type thing. So I hope you all tune in for that. I'm going to have my first episode, if you will, this weekend. So until next time, take it easy, everybody.